We start with the U.S. Vice President's trip to India. J.D. Vance arrived in Delhi a short while ago, kicking off a 4-day visit to the country. He's expected to meet Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi later, with new U.S. tariffs likely to top the agenda. Delhi's hoping to negotiate a bilateral trade deal with America and avoid further levies. The two nations have described ties as, quote, the defining partnership of the 21st century. But Trump's tariffs war is threatening to cast a shadow over the relationship, as DW's Delhi Bureau Chief Sandra Petersmann now reports.
These pictures are fairly recent. They were taken in February in Washington before the world was thrown into tariff turmoil. They show Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi smiling alongside US Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife Usha, whose parents immigrated to the United States from southern India. There's clear chemistry between the Trump and Modi administrations. They align ideologically on nationalism and homeland security. The personal connection is strong.
We missed you. We missed you a lot.
But then came April 2nd, and India wasn't spared from reciprocal tariffs on what US President Donald Trump called Liberation Day.
Liberation Day. India, very, very tough, very, very tough.
After causing economic mayhem, the reciprocal tariffs have been suspended for 90 days for all countries except China. But still, Trump has made it clear that his goal is a balanced trade relationship with India, with imports and exports in sync.
Prime Minister Modi was here just recently, and we've always been very good friends. India is one of the highest tariffing nations in the world. You know that. I know. Thank you for shaking your head, but it's brutal. It's brutal. They're very smart.
Now it's time for US Vice President J.D. Vance to feel the pulse in New Delhi. He is visiting India with his wife and kids. While India has chosen not to hit back at Trump's tariff tango, it has sparked fresh questions here about Washington's reliability as a partner. At a recent media briefing, when I asked what India hopes to gain from the Vance visit, the spokesman for the Ministry of External Affairs struck a positive note, saying it would further boost bilateral ties.
With the United States of America, we have a comprehensive strategic global partnership. So when you have that level of partnership with any country, obviously you will discuss all relevant issues.
India's relationship with the United States has indeed grown significantly over the past 2 decades. A clear sign came early in Trump's second term, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was among the first foreign leaders to visit the White House. That February visit led to pledges to finalize a bilateral trade deal soon, as in this year. India also committed to buying more from the US, including oil, gas and defense gear. They plan to deepen ties in civil nuclear energy and emerging tech, and both are looking to each other as they try to reduce reliance on China. In times of unpredictable US policy and lingering fears, China may be the one thing truly holding the US-India relationship together.
And we can get more on this now from DW's Delhi Bureau Chief Sandra Petersmann, who filed that report we just saw. Sandra, one thing I thought was really interesting that just stuck out there in your report was China helping cement this relationship between the United States and India. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you meant by that?
Well, some people here, experts, refer to China as the super glue in the Indian-US relationship. And India and the US share a lot of strategic interests when it comes to China, especially in the Indo-Pacific. Both try to avoid the creation of a Chinese sphere of influence in this region because they would like to avoid jeopardizing shipping lanes, trade lanes, which are important to both nations. And of course, let's not forget that India also shares a very troubled border with China, thousands of kilometers long. We have seen violent, deadly clashes at this border as recent as 2020. And India would for sure look to an ally like America in times of distress, while America very much sees India as a strategic counterbalance to growing Chinese influence in the region. And a lot of experts believe that the US is very keen to not completely alienate India, as it is needed as an important partner, especially for the Indo-Pacific region. So if I were to describe the relationship status between India and the United States at the moment, I would say overall good, could be better, as there are certainly some hiccups in the relationship.
And as J.D. Vance is expected to meet with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, what could be potential sticking points in any discussions on relations between the U.S. and India?
Well, very high on the agenda is certainly Trump's tax regime, which would also punish India. We are currently in the period where these reciprocal tariffs have been suspended for 90 days, and India is trying very hard to avoid being punished further. There is an extreme speed in the negotiations of a bilateral trade agreement between both sides. Both sides would like to see this trade agreement, at least the first part of it, concluded as early as fall this year, which is very ambitious. The US is pushing India to lower its trade barriers, to open up its market more for American products, including agrarian products like dairy items, which is a very sticky issue for India, where so many people really depend on agriculture for their livelihood. So these negotiations are ongoing. Another very sticky issue is Trump's crackdown on immigration. We might remember the recent deportation of undocumented Indians from the United States on military planes being shackled and handcuffed. That didn't go down very well here. And right now we are seeing a lot of visas being revoked or cancelled for Indian workers, highly skilled workers and Indian students. Let's not forget that the United States hosts the biggest Indian diaspora in the world, with more than 5 million people. And what happens to these people is of concern to the Indian government. And J.D. Vance will have to address this tonight in his political talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other members of his administration, as well as tomorrow when he is slated to deliver a speech from Jaipur in the afternoon addressing the status of the ties between India and the United States.
And Sandra, just before I let you go, I do want to ask you also about a personal element to this visit by Vice President Vance. His wife, Usha, is there with him. Her parents are from India, right?
Yes, her parents immigrated to the United States in the 1970s from the south of India, so it will be very important, obviously, for the Vice President to get to know the homeland of his in-laws, also for the 3 children of the couple to be introduced to India. It's the first visit of America's second family to India, and it's also the first visit of a U.S. Vice President to India in 13 years. And in all of this, let's not forget that obviously J.D. Vance is a much more outspoken and much more visible vice president as compared to his predecessor, Kamala Harris, for instance. So anything that can be sort of regarded as private is also very much political.
Well, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed there. That is DW's Sandra Petersmann in Delhi.